The railways have been an important part of our country's history, from the foundation of the Stockton and Darlington Railway to the Big Four and the golden days of steam, to the modernisation plan and high-speed rail. But with steam engines retired on the national network and preservation lines providing people with a look into the past and keeping the history of the railways alive, one part of the UK is a unique case when it comes to the railway motive power. Found just off the west coast near Barrow-in-Furness, the island of Sodor stands out in railway preservation as being the only railway still running revenue-earning steam services alongside diesels and electrics of older classes on a daily basis. In this series we look at the North Western Railway, its main line and its many branch lines, as well as the narrow gauge Scarlow Railway and the Arlesdale 15-inch gauge line. This is the history of Sodor. In today's episode, we're going over the Little Western and the Arlesdale line. While called the Little Western, the branch line is not on the west coast of the island, gaining its nickname from the Western steam engines that dominate the motive power on the line. Even though two Scottish 812s are part of the Little Western fleet. We start at the junction with the main line, Callan. Recently refurbished with extensions to the platforms, Callan was originally opened in 1891 to link the town with the ever-growing network of the railway on the island, yet the town has remained relatively small, its biggest business being the aggregate plant transferring ballast shipments from the NWR rolling stock to that of the mainlands. With a small engine shed and a transfer building, Callan's yard sees a fair amount of traffic from the transfer of the ballast, be it to the mainland as previously mentioned, or off to other parts of the railway for the island's own use. The stone coming from the Arlesdale line having the ability to reduce weed growth. There has been a recent increase in demand with High Speed 2 on the mainland, as well as the preserved lines buying ballast for their own use. Just opposite the main yard is the motor rail terminal, used to drop off new cars or for the ability to move passenger cars around the island with them. Motor rail services have continued in small part on the island. Its main use, however, is the transport of newer models onto the island from factories such as Dagenham in London. There are now two ways to depart Callan, the goods line or the passenger line. The goods line weaves its way through the middle of the town and past the outer Callan goods sidings, where goods are loaded into trucks with cranes that didn't fit into the main yard. You can also see the mainland ballast traffic reversing along the line once filled to get back to the main yard and out onto the main line. The line then loops round into Tidmouth Halt, where it meets the passenger line that had proceeded to go around the outside of Callan. Tidmouth Halt is a raised seaside stop, popular for its beach access. While called Tidmouth Halt, the village is actually called Tidemouth, but a spelling error in the planning stages has doomed the station to be called Tidmouth Halt ever since. However, the correct spelling is on the signal box. With a small storage siding, the railway hasn't had much of an impact on the village besides bringing tourists for the Golden Sands in the spring and summer seasons. Passing through the tunnel, the line runs along the coast for a short period now, passing two famous locations. The first being the bridge a certain double-decker bus got stuck under, and the second being the cricket field where a visiting engine inadvertently took the ball away, before coming to Halroth, a single platform station with two passing lines. The station sits rather awkwardly near the beach. A recent addition sees a direct connection footbridge from the station to the Golden Sands, with a footpath at the opposite end joining the station to the village. Originally built as a single line, the line in front was added to let goods traffic pass, and then the track work was extended to the rear of the station to double up as a passing loop, before eventually the line was mostly converted to double track where possible, now leaving Halroth with this rather strange and abnormal track layout. The line then splits again to what is known as the three-road bridge. The main passenger traffic heads over the double track bridge over the canal, as well as some ballast trains, whereas a once-a-week grain train and farm goods traffic heads either under or over the main track. The goods traffic heading to a small single line section with a grain hopper for local farmers to send their wheats, barley and other cereal crops off to market, and a loading platform for supplies to be dropped off for the farmers or loaded up to be taken away, some of which does end up going to Wellsworth line for the Felgood Brewery. If we now backtrack and follow the passenger line, it goes along the top of a cliffside over a small fishing village, through Castle Tuddle and along the coastal cliffs. An area that is unfortunately prone to flooding, which necessitated the previously mentioned freight line to be built quickly to keep the trains flowing, which did result in the rather unusual 3-road bridge, showing that while the line is rather confusing, it all links together nicely. The two lines join at Callan Junction before running into Callan Station, once the terminus of the Little Western. The station is mainly single platform, with a bridge over to a goods platform. A rather extensive yard area sees freight moving around a lot, with Lady doing a fair amount of shunting here, and further up the line at one of the two new termini. Built in 1905, Callan's main export was wool and farmed goods, now with a small gasworks and wool mill. The town is known for its amazing textile work. This is also the main shed area for the line, with a turntable leading to a 6-road shed that was moved brick by brick from Tidmouth and rebuilt to preserve the structure when the main shed on the main line was moved to Knapford. It's often questioned why such a relocation was undertaken, but no official answer has been given. We only know it is the original shed thanks to castings on the metalwork dating back to the construction in the 1800s. The line was extended in 2 directions. The latter of the two is where we will go first, Callan Lock, paid for in part by Lord Callan. The line loops around the lock and across a small causeway to the old castle ruins, and is only a seasonal station that takes a train every 2 hours for visitors to the castle and fairground there. October seeing a nightly ghost train for Halloween events, and then November and December the station will host a Santa's Grotto. The castle closing down after December for the winter months until spring arrives. Finally we go to the actual terminus of the Little Western, Alsbury. The line was extended up here to meet the Arlesdale Railway, a small 15-inch gauge line that runs up into the mountains. There is a single track station for the standard gauge engines with a turntable and a few storage sidings, the main goods traffic being the ballast we've mentioned previously, dropped from the little railway hoppers straight into the larger ones underneath. The transfer of this precious commodity is mundane to the people of the railways and town, but the tourists love to see it. Lady will often shunt the hoppers around the yard to get them loaded ready for other engines to take away, such as Martin. Now we look at the Arlesdale engines. Built to the same specs as their counterparts on the Ravenglass Railway, these mighty little engines trundle into the heart of the island to fetch goods from the farms and mines along the line and take tourists up and down their quaint little line. Alsbury being the home to their main sheds and a few small workshops to do minor maintenance and cleaning out of the engines. However, if major work is needed, they can be loaded onto a road lorry and be taken away to the main works at Craven Gate. After leaving Alsbury, the line runs effectively double track till the next station, Bridge Street, where the passenger trains have to cross over onto the up line to get to the platform. This is the railway's main storage facility for the rolling stock such as the coaches and trucks, and there is even a little workshop for them to maintain the necessary equipment. Frank the diesel shunter is often seen working here, if not out working on the line. The little line carries on up as a single track now, with a halt at Farquhar Road acting as a passing loop for the trains. The station's main purpose being to serve the Jolly Miller pub that does a mean ploughman's lunch and is a highly recommended microbrewery. The line then carries on, passing over a small viaduct with a water wheel where the miller can request the railway to stop and pick up flour, before arriving at Marthwaite, one of the first stations linked to a mine. The railway does follow the old Mid-Sodor trackbed, Marthwaite mine being open for slate back in the MSR days, but unfortunately the deposits were too small, which led to the railway's closure when it soon dried up. Now the Arlesdale engines take the granite from the mine to make it into ballast, one of the two on the line. The line now passes through an area known as the Orchard. Naturally occurring apple trees dominate this area and is the site of where two clergymen splashed birds, before arriving at Arlesdale Green, where the apples from the orchards can be loaded up along with wool and other goods. The old MSR line splits off just outside the station and becomes a mountain walk, meaning this station is popular for hikers. Crossing over the river, the little line goes past a school. Originally, the railway did help with school runs by running trains in the morning and afternoon, specifically for children to get to and from school, but that contract was unfortunately never renewed. The line now terminates at Arlesdale for the passengers, but continues on up for another ballast mine. This new mine was never explored by the MSR, but the granite has become highly sought after. And thus completes our journey on the Little Western and the Arlesdale line. Join us next time for the Skarloey Railway.
Reach for the wind, reach for the whistle, go where the rail may run. Reach for the song, reach for the story, follow the rainbow sun. To the shining time station where dreams can come true, waiting there for you. So much to see, so far to travel, so much to learn to know. Friends by your side, hopes to hold on to, who knows how far we'll go. To the shining time station where dreams can come true. Your own imagination's waiting there for you. To the shining time station where dreams can come true. Your own imagination's waiting there for you, waiting for you.